morning. Welcome to Let's Get Growing. We're mid-March now. I thought we might be outside looking at snowdrops or something in the garden today, but we had our fake spring. Snow all melted, snowdrops started to come into bloom, and now we're covered in snow again. So we're back in the greenhouse today and looking at, well, we got a few things to catch up on because now we're into the mid-March time and we're really, you know, even though it certainly doesn't feel like it today, we are into the spring mode. If you look at, you know, the calendar, mid-March, we got mid-April, we got mid-May, so we're about 8 weeks from our frost free. And that means there's a lot of seeds to start. We did some early stuff, but now we got to get into widespread seeding. So that's going to be something that's going to happen over the next week or so. Peppers are going to be done, slow annuals, lots of stuff to sow 8 to 10 weeks before frost free. So one I'll just quickly mention, you know, we don't do things like morning glories and that yet because it's a bit too early, but if you want to get moonflowers, and that's Ipomea alba, the white flowered night blooming morning glory, if you want to have it blooming before September, you need to get it started right away. Don't touch your other morning glories yet, but if you want good moonflowers in the summer, you got to get them started now. I probably even could have started them a week or two ago, because they do need that long stretch to get into good bloom. Soak them overnight, sow them, keep them warm. They germinate relatively quickly and are pretty easy to grow, but certainly want to get started early for early bloom. Now I'm just looking at the seed packet here. It says sowing method, direct seed or indoors in 4-inch pots. I would not recommend direct seeding these. Regular morning glories, just a different story. You could do those, but the moon vines, get them done now, and we'll be soaking them tonight and sowing them tomorrow. I wanted to talk a little bit about a group of plants that, you know, for many years I largely ignored. You know, when I came to gardening and came to the plant world, I sort of had a bit of a head start and got introduced to a lot of the unusual plants that weren't commonly grown and things. So I've sort of had a turnaround and had to come back to roses and peonies and pansies and, you know, a lot of those sort of beginner plants that people maybe learned to garden with. I kind of jumped over that. So I'm working my way back. And one plant that caught my eye a number of years ago now and has been a standby for me for quite a few years and expanded my interest in the whole group is the Tradescantias. Not the spiderworts in the garden. That's a whole different set of Tradescantias. But Tradescantias, what was commonly called the wandering Jew vine, we don't call it that anymore. You could call it wandering Jew. Call it just Tradescantia for that matter. Not a hard word to say. It was named after one of the early great plant hunters, John Tradescant. So Tradescantia, very easy one to say, just use it. The one that got me interested in Tradescantias again, you know, for years we've always had Purple Heart. Purple Heart is a really fantastic plant for hot sunny containers, bedding, all sorts of things. There's a great dark purple leaf, and we've grown it for years. And always just kind of, yeah, it's Purple Heart, it's cool. But the plant that really got me interested in Tradescantias again was this one. Now this is just a young plant. It's a little scraggly because of this time of the year. But this was Tradescantia Fluminensis aurea, or gold wing. It's a wonderful gold chartreuse leaf form of Tradescantia. And I saw it at Longwood Gardens in Philadelphia, and it was planted in the base of a big pot with a standard in it in the shade. I forget what the standard was. Doesn't even really matter. But this was trailing around that planter, mixed in with some red impatiens, and it just jumped out at me. It was a really fantastic shade combination of the chartreuse Tradescantia and the red impatiens. And then I had to find the plant, and I did. And I've been growing it ever since. It's just a fantastic, shady trailer filler, ground cover in pots. And it sort of got me thinking about and looking at the whole Tradescantia family. And as the houseplant boom of the pandemic took hold, a lot of other relatives of Tradescantia started to become available, but this was really the one that started it for me, and it's a terrific plant. But I'm going to run through a few of Tradescantias and their relatives that I've collected and think are really fantastic. So there's Tradescantia Fluminensis aurea, or gold wing is a selection you sometimes see it named as. We talked a little bit about the Setacretia, which is now Tradescantia again. It was called Setacretia for many years, but it's the Purple Heart. And of course, when you always have something normal, you always have interesting forms. And this is Tradescantia pallida pink stripes. And it's a variegated form of Purple Heart. And as you can see, boy, if you want like a vibrant kick of color, this is definitely a good one for that. The variegation varies. It goes from striping in pink all the way to shoots that almost have no chlorophyll in them and are just pink. They won't live on their own, but they look great when they're mixed in the plant. Ideally, you get some great variegated shoots like these ones, and it's a really stunning mix when mixed with dark foliage, dark purple flowers, dark burgundy flowers. Really, really showy. Lots of sun for these guys. They really appreciate the more sun, the better. Set him out of the way. Another Tradescantia that I really like is Albo Vittata. That's this one here. Better in shady areas. A lot of these Tradescantias are shade lovers, so keep that in mind. But you've got great foliage, great texture in shade-loving plants. Albo Vittata, and there's a few of these out there now. A few selections of this one. There's one on the market now called Pistachio, which you'll see in garden centers. And it's basically maybe a bit larger form of Albo Vittata, but stunning plant. Vivid variegation, and when you're using it in a shady spot, that's a big plus. So, fantastic. Now, I just want to show something on this one, too. One of these problems, I think, with the variegated Tradescantias is you get reversion. And on this one is showing some reversion, and we'll have to deal with it. Some of these green shoots, you just want to be careful of those. Sometimes even you'll get a shoot that's variegated and loses it as it grows. So you should get rid of those. Anytime you see those all green shoots, get rid of them to keep the cultivar pure. Problem with these is they become very vigorous and will take over the plants, so you need to be careful of those shoots. You can grow them if you want, just don't leave them attached to your variegated plant. So, Albo Vittata, great one for brightening up shady spots, or shady has a house plant. The Tradescantias are fantastic house plants. They're so versatile and so easygoing. They're great to have indoors on a windowsill. Pop off some few cuttings at this time of the year, and you'll have lots of plants for window boxes and planters. This guy here, this is kind of an interesting one. This is a bit of a cross, I think, between the Purple Heart we looked at and Tradescantia scylla-montana, Grandpa's Whiskers. It's just called Kevin's, and I don't find much information about it. I have a feeling it's a hybrid that was developed or named for a fellow named Kevin who is a Tradescantia breeder, but I don't find a lot of information about it. The stronger the light it gets, the more purple it gets, and silvery hairs all over it. Pretty striking plant in the summertime, and a neat, very compact hat. Now, I'll do a couple of more Tradescantias before we move on. Good old Moses in the Cradle is a Tradescantia as well. So I should have cleaned these ones up a little bit. They got a little bit of our hard water stains on it, but this is a very typical old-fashioned houseplant. Moses in the Cradle. Beautiful rosettes, purple undersides, makes a neat cluster, and then gets little clusters of flowers that are tucked down in the pot. Another super good houseplant, really easy going. But as much as this one is a great little plant, the one that I sort of like the best is Sitara Gold. Beautiful purple undersides, but a wonderful chartreuse striped green leaf. Very, very showy. Great as a houseplant again. Great in mixed containers in the shade. I really can't sort of stress enough about the importance of foliage in your shady containers. You can have great color, but if you don't have that good foliage blend and contrast, then you're really missing out on some of your shady containers, because the foliage is always going to look good. Now, of course, when you get into Tradescantias, you'll always come across one that go, what, that's a Tradescantia? And that's this guy. This is Tradescantia Zenonia, this variegated form called Mexican flag. It's a gorgeous houseplant, very different in habit from other Tradescantias. You can see 3-foot-tall bamboo-like stems with wonderful variegated foliage, green and white stripes. Gets a bit of a red stripe on the edge, probably why that called the Mexican flag. The red, green, and white. Really amazing plant. Has been an easy-going house plant, as well as make a great upright accent to tropical containers for the summer. But really cool plant, and very different from your typical Tradescantias in look, but very typical in its ease of growth and care. But I think what really got a lot of people back into the Tradescantias during the houseplant craze was these guys. And these guys just sort of popped on the scene and, really took the houseplant world like crazy. It was one of those trendy plants that just sort of showed up and was fantastic right from the start. Very widely available now. And again, a great plant for houseplant, great plant for terrariums. But I have used these, and I'll look at another one in a second, amazingly well in containers in bright shade. This is Calicia, or turtle vine. This is the right standard green leaf form. Not very exciting, but nice. Purple undersides, easy-going plant. This one was one of those houseplants that just took the houseplant world by storm. I get a completely blank on its name at the moment, but that's okay. It's a Calicia, wonderful tricolor leaf, a lot of pink in the leaf, a lot of white with green stripe. Super easy going. You can see it's starting to fill this 12-inch basket actually with ease. Super easy going. Wonderful houseplant. But I tried this one last year. This is Calicia copper jewel. And it's one I had picked up while looking, I think, for Tradescantias and stuff, and it really caught my eye. It doesn't show the color a lot yet, just because of the time of year it is. As the sun strengthens up, it'll show it up better. Turns a brilliant gold with purple undersides. And while this is just a 6-inch basket that I just kept over for cuttings, I planted this from 3-inch pots as a ground cover in planters in the shady spot of the summer, and they were spectacular. These things grow like crazy. I don't know why they call them turtle vine, because they don't move like a turtle. They grow extremely fast. And actually, even one of these copper jewels fell into another basket. A piece fell off, fell into a basket. I didn't touch it, and it made an overflowing cascade of foliage in a 12-inch basket in one season. So really amazing growth, very, very quickly. But again, like the Tradescantias, super, super easy going. They're a little bit succulent in their leaf style, shape and form, so they can get a bit dry between waterings. This one's actually quite dry right now, but still looking pretty good. Bright light, not direct sun. They don't want to be in full sun. They don't really like that. But really easy going plants. Now, one of the other Calicias that caught my eye when last time we were down south was this guy. Now, this is not a very good-looking plant. I apologize. But this is Calicia fragrans. Now, Calicia fragrans is a very different plant, even though it is very closely related to these. This gets big bromeliad-like rosettes of green and white striped foliage, and kind of like spider plants, sends off shoots on these long trailers that trail out of a basket and then form another rosette. In South Florida, they use this like a ground cover, and these little runners will come out, and a new plant will hit the ground and root and grow, and it creeps along the ground. But for us in baskets, it makes a really cool basket because it sort of has those long stolons and then forms a rosette on the end and then keeps going. So it makes a really neat plant that way. Sometimes called false bromeliad because it really has a bromeliad look to it. But again, like the other Calicias, ridiculously easy to grow. This one looks a bit messy because it's just one of my stock plants that I'm going to get a lot of cuttings off of shortly. So I haven't really cleaned it up much. But makes a great rosette plant. Hey, Ludwig, how are you? And again, as far as house plants go, the whole family are super easy as a house plant.
Calicia repens Pink Lady.
This is Calicia fragrans.
The one you forgot. Pink Lady.
Oh, Pink Lady, yes. Calicia Pink Lady. My apologies. I should know that right off, but you know, the names just pop out of the head sometimes. But terrific plant, easy going. I'm going to jump into a third group of these Tradescantia relatives, and it's one that, again, has been around for a long, long time, and, you know, never gave it much thought until I saw it used at Santa Clara, Pennsylvania, as a filler and spiller over in containers, and that was Gibaesis geniculata Tahitian bridal veil. Now, if you remember Tahitian bridal veil, it's a lovely green-leafed plant, purple undersides, and then clouds of white flowers to offset that foliage. Called the bridal veil because it has sort of a gypsophila sort of look to it when you look at a whole plant, or baby's breath kind of look to it. And of course, so we got Tahitian bridal veil. It's available from houseplant growers fairly regularly, but makes again a great semi-shade flowering trailer for container. And of course, not happy with just the straight species, we started looking around. We found this guy maybe last year, the year before. This is the purple leaf form of Tahitian bridal veil. Wonderful iridescent purple foliage. Yeah, the plant's looking a little scruffy, but iridescent purple foliage, and then the wonderful little bridal veil flowers. And you can see what bridal veil does. It just trails and trails. So it makes a wonderful trailer, especially in larger containers or hanging baskets. Again, semi-shade is ideal for the Tahitian bridal veils. And then, so we had the green form, we had the purple leaf form. I had seen in some Instagrams and books a black leaf form, so I had to go hunting for it. And I managed to find it last summer. This is basically the black leaf form of Tahitian bridal veil. You can see it's in lots of bloom right now. Gorgeous black foliage with a thin green edge. This is Gibaeus Jose Pooch, or Patch. It's P-U-I-G, but it's not pronounced as it's spelled. It's pronounced more like Pooch, something like that. I had to look it up. I probably got it wrong. But magnificent. And this is what bridal veil does. Look at that wonderful trailing pattern. This black one is going to go in some really cool containers for this summer. I haven't used it in the garden at all yet. I just got it last summer. I've got great stock baskets. We'll have it available for sale this year. But just a really wonderful plant. Now the beauty of all these Tradescantias and their relatives is they are ridiculously easy to grow. Average conditions in the house, average conditions outside. A few of them can take a fair bit of sun. Most are shade plants. Some of the Tradescantias zabarinas, like this guy, this is Pink Perfection. Wonderful hot pink undersides or hot purple undersides. Silver stripe in the leaf. Tradescantia zabarina always has that purple stripe in the leaf. So easy to grow. And propagation is a breeze. You can use these outside all summer. If you want to keep it over, you can bring the plant back in for the winter, but you don't even really need to. All you need to do is just break off pieces like that, stick them in water if you want, stick them in little pots of potting soil, keep them moist, keep them humid for a couple of weeks, and they will root and grow. Easy. You could even take a piece like this and just take these three shoots, stuff them in a pot, stuff this whole thing in water, and they will root and grow. So have a look for Tradescantias. There are quite a few of them out there now because they are such an easy and popular plant. We've got about 20 different varieties of Tradescantia and their relatives now. And I'm just loving them all as that versatile filler, spiller, house plant, terrarium plant, really all around great group of plants. Have a look for Tradescantias this spring. Rediscover an old favorite house plant. I'm sure most people's grandmas had them on their windowsills all the time, simply because they are that easy and fun.
Can you show a close-up of each one?
I could bring some closer up a little bit. Yeah.
Just
We'll do the little
and say the name.
So this is Calicia. What did we call this one?
Repen's Pink Lady.
Pink Lady. Tiny little leaves. Gorgeous foliage, though. And again, super versatile. Copper Jewel, the gold form. Not looking very gold at the moment, but does get a wonderful gold sort of chartreuse coloration. Bit bigger leaf, purple undersides, very typical of the whole family. Great foliage plant for containers. Showed you these guys up close, that's probably fine. The Alba Vittata, excuse the plant's a little bit rough looking in the basket because it's not been cleaned up. We'll be taking a bunch of cuttings very shortly. Gorgeous, intense variegation, and really great to brighten up shady containers. You know, so much you can do in the shade, but to have that intense foliage color to really make those shady spots pop, it's a great plant for that. As elbow macadam. And certainly one of the most striking ones, the Cetacretia Purple Heart. Great in its regular form, amazing in its variegated form. This guy likes the sun. This could be out in the full sun, no problem, and really brings an intense color and trailing habit with some little lavender flowers. Again, 2 containers, and is vigorous enough to use in the ground. In the deep south, they would use this as a ground cover in the ground. It is, I say almost hardy. It would never survive the winter here, but not all that far south from us, you might see it starting to overwinter. Great plant that way. Calicia fragrans, the false bromeliad. Again, when you look at it just like this and isolate that, very bromeliad looking, but it's basically just a big form of Tradescantias that grows a little bit more, Calicia, sorry, a little bit more rosette-like, but also a cool plant in a lot of different ways. So, look for those Tradescantias. Oh, we'll show you Cetacretias too. We'll do the Cetacretias as well. Forgive the hard water stains, but Tradescantia, Spathacia, something like that. Moses in the cradle, wonderful purple undersides, and then Satara Gold, purple undersides with the gold stripes. Amazing. Even as a solo plant in a potscape in the shade, great. Also super easy houseplant. And just a quick up close of the one that started it all for me with the Tradescantias, the Fluminensis aurea, or gold wing. This will intensify in its goldness, but you cannot grow this one in the full sun. You'll burn the heck out of it. So you find that sort of bright shade area, and it's fantastic. It'll give you sort of the look of a gold potato vine, but in a much more refined and small capacity. Potato vines can overwhelm. This guy is small. It'll weave its way through other plants and really just be a great augmentation to other flowering plants in the shade. All right, do we have any questions today? I know we got a bit late start, so we might not have a lot of
Sophie has a question about sweet peas.
Sweet peas, yeah.
Yeah, she has several that she started and they're growing well. Should she move them to her unheated garage, considering that they are currently growing in warm conditions on a cool windowsill?
So sweet peas.
The temperature never goes below 0.
Sweet pea in mid-March absolutely should be outside in some sheltered area. Now, watch your nighttime temperatures. Forecast is telling us we're going to have a couple of really chilly nights still. That might be too much. I know Sophie's garage area hovers around the freezing mark, so get them out there. They do not want heat now. Sweet peas are cool lovers. They will be much better off as cool as you can keep them. I've got our sweet peas in here. I was all set to move them out to a shady or to a cool spot, but I haven't been able to yet because we got some cold temperatures coming. The other thing with sweet peas you need to be thinking about, you don't want them this long. These have got to be pitched back, and I think by pitching back, it's almost with these ones are a bit past it, but they've got to be cut back. If you don't get them cut back, then you're going to have very long, very stringy, very small flowering sweet peas. Taking that top off, and yeah, I took off 4 inches or so, but that's going to cause these to branch out from the base, and when we're ready to plant them out in just a few weeks, these will be bushy plants that are going to perform really well in the garden. They do need to be pitched or cut back. So if you've got long stringy sweet peas because they've been in the house in the warm, get them cut back. Be ready to get them out into the coolest spot possible. A little bit of cold, a couple of degrees of frost, not going to hurt them. Just get them in a shaded spot. We're going to put them into a poly house, which is basically a walk-in cold frame. Poly house has no heat, but will sort of, balance. Now, if we get minus 10 like we're supposed to, that's a bit too cold, so I won't hold them off just yet. I'll keep them inside for a few more days. But then, if our nights are around minus 2, minus 3, minus 4, they're going to be in the cold frame. And they'll be fine there. They love it. And you'll have much better sweet peas to plant out in April. Yes, I said April. Because we endeavor to get our sweet peas in the ground by about the middle of April, because they love that coolness to get going. They'll bloom well through most of the summer, but they want to have a cool start. So pitch them back, be ready to move them out. If you have a spot that hovers around the freezing mark, no matter how cold it gets, get your sweet peas in there now.
Cheryl missed the name of the false bromeliad
The
plant.
false bromeliad one, this is Calicia fragrans. Cool plant. You should definitely try it. Great as a house plant. Are we just about ready to wrap up, Laura? I think we're just about ready. I don't know if anybody has spied these. I don't know if you can see them even off to the edge here. But I'm just going to give you a little teaser and show you some of the most innovative, I guess, plant breeding that's coming around these days. I doubt you'll find them in Ontario this spring, but they will be here soon, maybe by next spring. This is the Antoinette series, Antoinette Mix, actually, it's called. It's a mix of new pansies from a Japanese pansy breeder. They're trickling their way into North America, into the trade at all, actually, anywhere. They are ridiculously new. We managed to get our hands on a few, and we're going to take some cuttings from them. But these are ultra ruffly pansies. They're going to be fairly, tallish with good stems. So if you like to do cut flowers, you'll be able to cut these pansies. They are a mix, so they come in a wide range of colors, right from these rusties up to some beautiful sort of burgundy blues, a little more typical pansy color with a good ruffle. Now you'll see similar ones to let's say this one. This one here is not quite as ruffly as the others, a little more pansy-like. And you will see, I think, the precursor to these if you find the Frizzle Sizzle mixes of pansies. They're a regular pansy with a nice ruffle in a mix, but these are taking it to the next level. These are super ruffly. They're not double, just extra, extra frilly. Like, look at the frills on this. This is just insane. But I think fantastic. So look at that. Amazing, amazing pansies. Like I say, you probably won't find these in Ontario this spring. But hopefully for next spring, they will be in your better garden centers and things. So keep an eye out for them. They're pretty wild. I'm really excited to grow them. We're going to grow them on, maybe try some cuttings, see if we can't take some cuttings off them, because you can do pansies from cuttings. We picked 12 colors that were blooming that we really liked, and we're going to have some fun with them. So something to keep your eye on, and we'll show them as the spring goes on, and see how they work for us. But always something new and exciting to look forward to. And I think if we don't have any more questions, Laura, we'll wrap it up for today. All goes well, we'll be back to weekly. So keep your eyes peeled Sunday mornings for new Let's Get Growings, and we will always have them uploaded to they'll be on Facebook page, Mason House Gardens Let's Get Growing for a few weeks, and then we transfer them over to our YouTube channel, Mason House Gardens Let's Get Growing, where you can go back and watch back episodes at your leisure. So follow us on YouTube. It's always a big help. The followers you get, the better you get viewed. And we'll see you next time on Let's Get Growing.